Hey folks, my name is Brad. If you happen to be new to my videos, I explore the mountains of Vermont searching for treasure with my metal detector. And today I find myself on actually some of my family's land, a place I've done a lot of metal detecting in the past, but where I found some amazing things. Now I have a bit of a fun day planned. We're gonna start the day out by the road where I have found lots of 1920s to 1950s treasures, then move to a different corner of the property where I found lots of things from the 1800s, and then finish out the day in a different corner where I found lots of items from colonial times and the end of the 1700s. Now, if this is one of the first of my videos that you've seen, I publish one of these every single Friday. So if you like what you see here today, consider hitting that subscribe button, or just come on back next week. I'm gonna get that metal detector turned on, head toward the road, see what we can find. Uh, 99, clean and clear all directions. This has gotta be a big piece of aluminum or something, but we'll see. What is that? Whoa. Well, it's not uncommon to find timepieces metal detecting. For me personally, I typically find pocket watches and mantle clocks the most, but what we have here is a tiny little lady's wristwatch. And unfortunately, the glass here is very clouded. We can't see any manufacturer's details on there at all, but we can see little gems all around the outside of the face there. On the reverse, it looks like maybe there was a sticker, maybe with manufacturer's information, but the case of this watch seems to be plated zinc, so it is crumbling away, unfortunately. Now, interestingly, you know, how did it end up here? The band, or the bracelet, is totally destroyed on both ends. How does that happen? Why does that happen? Was it accidentally dropped in the ground here after it was already broken and discarded, or does it tell some grim story about how it was ripped off the wrist and lost to the ground? We'll never know, but it's a cool little find. Very pretty. All those gems around the outside. Wonder if they're diamonds. Let's see what else we can find. 84. Oh, I see it. Oh, no way. Well, I've got a bit of an audience behind me here. Goats. Right across the road, I'm right next to the road here, is an old garage, an old style garage. They kind of have retro signs up, the old style gas pumps, and there's a bunch of old, probably 1920s, 30s cars out front. I would show it to you, but I want to kind of keep this property as private as possible. And this thing that I just found, when I first saw it, I thought that maybe it was like a screwdriver handle, CO2 cartridge, because I do not find these very often, though it is a fairly recognizable item. Do you know? Maybe something to do with those cars across the street? The goats know? This is a valve stem cover for folks say Model Ts, people who metal detect, but it could be for many old vehicles that used the same style valve stems. There's an old car over there revving its engine right now. This likely came off of an old 20s, 30s, 40s car that belonged to the folks that lived here. Really cool connection to that time, especially with the antique cars rubbing their engine right across the street as I find this. As I said, I know folks who metal detect, especially places from this time frame, find them pretty regularly, but this might be the only second or third one I've ever found, so I'm happy to find it. God bless you. 72. Whoa. That looks like a ring. Well, my heart skipped a beat when that revealed itself. I have a pretty good idea that it's not silver or a precious metal because it rang very low on the metal detector, but it is certainly a ring, though it does appear to be costume jewelry, children's jewelry. and whatever was in there, likely glass, maybe even plastic, is missing. It could be in the hole, but I do not have a great track record for searching the hole for stones and actually finding them. I'm gonna have to start carrying a sifter, I think. This is the second time in 2 weeks found a ring without a stone and can't find it. You know, this could be a children's, it could be, like I said, costume jewelry, just something that's plated. It is brass. It does seem pretty heavy duty, so it's not out of the question that you know, an adult was wearing it. But it's a ring, and I would have to guess it is from at least the 1950s, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later. Unfortunately, there's not going to be any markings on this whatsoever, but that's okay. Judging just by the design, it looks very deco. Not precious metal, but that's okay. The day is still young. We still have some older places to go check today. Pretty cool. All right, location number 2 is just through these blueberry bushes in this corner of this field. Lots of middle of the 1800s, end of the 1800s stuff. Apparently it used to be a horse race track at some point. Let's see what we can find. 62. Oh, I know what that is. Nice. Well, the story goes, somewhere around here, maybe right here, there was a horse racing track that the public would come and watch as an audience. Nobody's exactly sure where it was or even when it was. I've never seen it on any old maps, so it's probably after 1870. But the thing that I just found just now by itself is not exactly treasure, but it could have an amazing connection to the track. So what we have here is a fairly common find metal detecting. It's a piece of brass with a very particular shape. This one actually has the crossbar here, which is unusual. We don't usually find them with that. And we call these typically parasol slides because these would move up and down the shaft of a parasol or an umbrella. This one though, since it does have the crossbar, was affixed at the very top of the umbrella, and there would have been a second one that slid up and down the shaft. And you can imagine maybe 100 or so years ago, horses running around the track, in the audience you've got people watching holding their parasols, shading themselves from the sun or protecting themselves from the rain. Pretty cool find, especially paired with the story of this place. Because of that horse track, we're hoping to find lots of coins, lots of things an audience would lose. Probably a lot of horse tack as well. Parasol slide that does not slide. Got a beautiful target right here. 92, 93. Love how shallow it is. Yes. No way. Another one. Not where I would have expected to find it either. Not 1800s or even 1950s. This looks like a classic gumball machine style ring. That's funny. Well, this is almost 100% of the time junk, but we've got a 99 right here. Let's see. Well, I see it. Looks like it's an old padlock. Yeah, it is. Well, as I said, 99s, on my metal detector at least, are 99% of the time trash. Very, very rarely is it something interesting. And this is one of those times. What we have is a full brass padlock. The shackle, which would have been steel, is unfortunately gone. Perhaps broken intentionally, but more than likely, since it is steel, it just rusted away. Now there is a logo in the center. It appears to be a stylized S, and unfortunately I don't have any idea what that is off the top of my head. Hopefully I'll be able to do some research and figure out who made it, a rough time frame of when this is probably from. I'll throw that up on the screen if they can figure that out. It is a stout, heavy, full brass padlock, more than likely designed to be outside because it is brass. It doesn't rust, although shackles certainly did. Great find. You know, again, going along with that story of there possibly being a horse track here. What would they be using padlocks for? There must have been buildings on the property, fences to be locked. Who knows? Great find. The 99 was a treasure this time. It's a bunch of targets right here. 88 there, 75 over here. Let's start with a high tone first. Ooh, that looks like silver. A little silver coin. One dime. And before we take a look at this, we're gonna set it down over here. We're gonna find it again. Check this other target. Well, that's a pull tab. Well, so far today, I've probably found over $1 of coins, pennies, dimes, and quarters. And they've all been relatively modern. Nothing too old except a couple wheat cents, couldn't read the dates on. But this coin is undoubtedly an older one. Obviously we can see how clean and shiny it is. This is a silver coin. We can see here on the back 1 dime. As we flip it over, you can see a date down there. Let's give it a spray. 1899, just barely made the 1800s on this one. Would have been totally possible to find silver coins at the last location, probably Mercury dimes or Roosevelt dimes. This is a very pleasant surprise for this particular area. It's a little bit worn on the reverse, but the front and the date side is crystal clear. Amazing coin. It's probably a little bit worn because it floated around in people's pockets for a good while after it was made. You know, but we did find it kind of almost exactly in between the 1920s-ish area and then the real old stuff, so kind of makes sense. Beautiful find. Well, my uncle just brought this out to me so I can fill it up with some real treasure here, some late season blueberries. Heck yeah, take a little break doing this for a while, and we'll get back to work. That should do it. Well, here we are in the third and final location, the oldest as far as I understand it. As you can see, it's a field that is completely grown up except for a few brush hogged paths that we're going to try to metal detect. Now, I have been here in the very, very early spring. I found some colonial coppers, some shoe buckle pieces. Hopefully we can find some more of that. Let's find out. Well, right here we have an incredibly loud 89. It's either very big or very shallow. Oh, in the plug. Nice. Well, as far as I've been able to tell from the exploring that I've done here, and as far as the landowner knows, there don't seem to be any old home sites or foundations in all of these overgrown fields. They were likely agricultural fields back then, and all of the things that we're going to be finding here were just dropped as they were harvesting or plowing or planting. What we have right here, I thought at first was going to be a pocket watch, but it is in fact a piece of horse tack. You can see back here, there would have been an iron loop. The front here is all brass, and there's likely lead backed because it is very, very heavy. This is what we commonly call a bridle rosette. It was on a horse bridle up where a couple straps kind of connected. This would have covered all of that up and just been a little pretty appointment. Sometimes they have beautiful decorations on them. This one is just very plain utilitarian, which makes sense. You know, as far as the things I found here in the past, it doesn't seem like they had a ton of money, or at least they didn't drop it. I think I've only ever found one colonial coin here in the past. So that's a cool find. A bit of a common one, but you know, it's the right time frame. It makes sense for where we found it, an agricultural field. Pretty cool. Let's see what else we can find here. 83. I see it. Brass. Ooh, nice. Well, so far today, I have found several pieces of horse tack, including buckles. So we've got a larger one here, smaller one here, both of them brass and silver plated. But the one that I just found, while it is unfortunately broken, we can very clearly see it's quite a bit older, full brass, not plated. We have that deep green patina on there. And this is a very common design for buckles for horses or even oxen from the end of the 1700s all the way up through to the end of the 1800s. Some folks who metal detect call these baldric buckles or batwing buckles. They have lots of different names, but they all have this general shape in varying sizes. This seems like it was a relatively small one, likely for a small strap on a saddle or maybe a harness. It's interesting being able to find horse tack from varying different ages, right? Those silver-plated buckles almost certainly from the 1900s, if not the late 1800s, but as soon as this popped out of the ground, I knew instantly it was quite a bit older. When I am able to find these complete and whole, they're always very, very sturdy. They were made out of high quality brass, so they could be strong, and I like to reuse them in some of my leather work. Fortunately, not this one. That's okay, we know what it is. It's a great find. Let's see what else we can find here. 72. Piece of brass. Oh, I know what that is. Nice. Well, I've said it many times in my videos. It doesn't get much more colonial, late 1700s metal detecting in New England than what I just found right here. It is actually another fragment of buckle, but as we can see, this one is quite a bit different. Very, very pretty with a flower up here. Very decorative around the outside, and we can see it would have been square. This is a fragment of a shoe buckle worn on the shoes or boots of folks living probably around the end of the 1700s, maybe as late as 1820. What an awesome find. You know, it's difficult this time of year because I only have these small paths to go through, and there's all of these sticks to contend with swinging my metal detector. But when you do get a high tone or a nice clean tone out here, you know it's going to be something good or something old, because not much has happened here at all since this time. You can imagine a pair of these on somebody's shoes way back in the 1700s, just covered with flowers. It was very likely plated at one time, or at the very least polished up to be a golden color as it is brass. It's just a small broken fragment of a buckle, but considering what it is, where it is, I'm very excited about it. That's a great find. All right, folks, well, I am calling it quits for the day, and you know, I had a blast kind of visiting these different areas from different time frames today. You just absolutely never know what you're going to find. And I found quite a few pretty cool things today. I've got it all laid out here. Let's take a look at it. All right, well, here are my treasures after spending pretty much all day metal detecting. I tried to break it up into 3 different groups for the 3 different sites on the same property that I visited today. This piece I don't think made it into a video. I'm fairly certain it was saddle hardware for a strap. We have the padlock here, a couple buckles that are also horse tack more than likely. Our parasol slide, which actually did not slide, it was affixed firmly to the top of the shaft. We have our Model T, or at least old vehicle valve stem cover. We have a couple pieces of jewelry. We can see in the center there we have an old wristwatch and then 2 rings, which are
not precious metal. They're both either costume jewelry or the classic gumball machine rings, but still happy to find them. Bridal rosette up top, and then over here on the left, a bunch of colonial era, late 1700s items, a couple buckles. This absolutely beautiful white bronze engraved button. And then, of course, last but not least, we have the one and only silver coin, an 1899 barber dime.
All right, hey, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll join me next Friday for another new adventure somewhere up here in the mountains of Vermont.